Good evening, everybody. You are tuned in to Cragcore. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. And let's get this thing moving. Let's get this channel up there. So, this evening, I'm going to be talking about the issue of Christmas. Now, earlier on, I was watching something on YouTube. It was a talk radio broadcast. Now, I don't know, man. In my opinion, talk radio, over the last 6 months or so, I'm starting to find it to be a little bit suspect with regards to its topics and how they manage them. And I don't know, it used to be, for me, I used to feel as though it was quite independent and that they were kind of for the people. But now I feel as though that they may be a little bit kind of, I don't know, I don't want to use the term a shill, but maybe getting there. I don't know. But that's just the way that they manage their stories and the way they kind of allow things to be directed on there. But anyway, that's just a side note. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that just lately. But anyway, I was listening to this interview with Jeremy Kyle. I mean, I'm going to watch it just because it's Jeremy Kyle, It's bound to be good for various reasons. But he had a woman on that was talking about the Christmas crisis. I mean, fucking hell. Another one? Another crisis? I mean, come on, man. How many more? How many more crises are going to be, crises are going to be, excuse me, are going to be created by this fucking media before we say, hold on a minute. Just hold on 1 minute there. The old meteorite analogy is coming to mind here. So anyway, this woman was saying that she is panic buying. And she is going out and buying loads of toys because she wants her children to have the things that they want. And I think she said that she will be, she'll be the one that's laughing or something like that when everybody else hasn't got anything. Now, I'm just going to have a quick drink here. Excuse me. So, that in itself, that mindset is fucking wrong, isn't it? That mindset in itself is absolutely wrong, because what is Christmas about? I mean, the trouble is, right, we find ourselves in this consumerist fucking attitude towards Christmas, don't we? And that's because we were taught that that's a good way to sort my beard out here. Self-grooming with Cragcore, Pass me the broom and the beard oil, please. Broom. You do to sweep this fucker. Anyway, we were taught as children, weren't we, that this is the way, Obviously, children want stuff because there's advertisements on TV. You've got the fucking Littlewoods catalogue sitting on the coffee table. You search through it, on an evening when there's nothing to watch on telly. And you see all the latest gadgets and toys that you want. And you say to your mum, because that's what you're told, that's what you're told through the media. Of course you are, the driver of the agenda, not, not just the current agenda, but the driver of every agenda. And, the fueler of the system. So maybe the Führer of the system as well. Not just the one who fuels it, but we are told, aren't we, nonetheless, by the the media, adverts and stuff, that you need the greatest, the latest, the best new toy. And as a child, you want it because you are egocentric and you want what you want. So you say to your mother, yes, I want this toy. And all the other kids are getting them, so you get them. And then when you grow up, some kids get them, some kids don't. But you want them nonetheless. And you feel bad if you don't get them. It's a systemic problem, isn't it? So ultimately, and it's a hereditary problem too. So ultimately, and a generational one. So ultimately, as adults now, because we've been, I suppose, programmed to think like that, we start to feel this pang of guilt or loss, maybe, when we start to think of a Christmas without gifts. And we feel as though, in order to prove our love to one another, we must buy gifts. Now, another thing this woman said is something that I have said in the past, which is, I'm not bothered about receiving gifts. I just want to see somebody else's face when they open the ones I've bought for them. It's about giving, not receiving. But that's just as egotistical, is it not? To feel happy because you've made somebody happy through buying them something that's materialistic. I mean, that's very egotistical. I mean, so that it's made me think differently about that attitude as well. But not to go too far off point, we are doing the same. I mean, in this generation, and like I've said, we have this pang of guilt or fear, perhaps, or loss, like I said, that at the thought of having a giftless Christmas. Now, that is down to the programming, isn't it? That's down to the programming that tells us that we need to follow this consumerist Christmas. This idea of a consumerist Christmas. I mean, you look at fucking films like Scrooge. The guy goes through those three fucking things, the past, present, and future of Christmas. And what does he do? To make up for it, he gets everybody fucking presents, and he fucking gives everybody this huge opulent dinner. And this is about a rich guy giving back. Now, on the fucking face of it, it seems nice. But surely that's not... I mean, they're telling you that that's the spirit of Christmas. Basically, they're saying that the spirit of Christmas is materialism. That's what's being promoted. I suppose that's the point, in a nutshell, that I'm getting across here. You are programmed that the spirit of Christmas is in materialism. All right? So, it's not really, though, is it? The spirit of Christmas is about family. And, I don't know, man. Loving one another. Caring about each other unconditionally. Not arguing for once. Sitting down and spending time with your loved ones. I mean, surely that is more valuable. Maybe having nothing at Christmas and appreciating our friends and family for who they are is more of a gift. Having a few days off work where we're not fucking subject to the rat race. What a gift that is. But instead, what do? We decide to run around like headless chickens for weeks before Christmas, up until quite possibly the day before for some people, and stress ourselves out needlessly and go into huge, vast amounts of debt to buy the latest thing in order so we can say, well, I bought them this. So then you can fucking post it all on social media now. The next level is this generation. We post it on social media and brag about it that way. Oh, this is what I got for Christmas. This is what my husband bought me. This is what my wife bought me, blah, blah, blah. And you think, well, all it does is it fuels this fire, this need. And it carries on. Now, the next generation will be even worse. So, people make excuses though, don't they? And they say, yeah, well, I've got to have these things. And this is where the panic buying things come from. Because they say, well, I need to have these things for my children because otherwise they'll get bullied at school if they don't. I mean, for fuck's sake. So they've got to have the next, the latest pair of trainers. They've got to have the latest gift for Christmas. They've got to have fucking, I don't know, the latest Xbox or PlayStation and the latest games so they can play with their friends online. They need an online subscription so they can play with their friends online. They need the latest fucking bits and bobs, like the add-ons for the games, so they can have a gold-plated fucking gun to kill people with online because, that's what they need, otherwise they'll get bullied at school. I mean, what fucking world are we living in here? Because we've created that world, haven't we? And see, this is the need. This is the justification that people say that they why they need these things. You know, that they have to buy these things. Otherwise, their child will get bullied at school. Well, you know what? This is where we come in. Because, you know, maybe if we educate our children, not just one or the other of us, I'm talking about all of us en masse, perhaps if all of the parents out there educate their children and say, well, actually, son, or, you know, actually, to their daughter, or whatever, it's not about presents. It doesn't matter. You know, don't listen to what the fucking capitalist, consumerist fucking box in the corner is telling you. It's not about gifts. It's about friendship. It's about love. It's about acceptance. It's about spending time with one another. It's about, you know, just enjoying some family time. Feel good times. Then ultimately what happens is children stop kind of seeing Christmas as this capitalist, consumerist fucking I don't know what you would call it. It's a mass, isn't it? It's a mess. It's like a fucking volcano. It just erupts, you know, and the fucking the aftermath, the fallout of it is debt and misery that parents are paying off for the rest of the year. Now, if we educate our children in a different way and we promote a different type of Christmas that is non-consumerism, well, then no kids are going to get bullied at school, are they? So then there's not the need for it. You know, I mean, there's not the need for the latest pair of fucking trainers because children aren't being that aspect of society isn't being fed in our children. You know, if you just give in and say, well, you know, if all of us give in and say, well, yeah, okay, well, I'm just going to buy my fucking child the latest pair of trainers, well, then you've created a need for all the children to have the latest pair of trainers. If we all tell our children, actually, it doesn't matter what fucking trainers you wear, because you've got fucking shoes on your feet. You know, some people don't have any fucking shoes. Well, then ultimately, then all the children will then have that mindset, which means there'll be no bullying. And if there is a child that constantly has all the new stuff, when that child will be seen as the odd one out. Like, why the fuck is that child just... What's wrong with their parents, you know? Like, why are they buying the fucking kid, like, every single fucking thing under the world? Like, that's not really right. You know, because it's not. But until we create the world that we want, until we stop the consumerism by feeding it to our children and then creating it for the next generation, until we stop doing that, this will continue. And it will go on and on and on, and it'll get worse with every generation that passes by. I mean, it's gotten to the point now where little kids have got like electronic devices, like tablets and fucking phones and iPads and stuff. You think, why does a child need a fucking iPad? Why? What, so they can sit and watch fucking some shitty cartoon that's melting their brains, melting their intelligence away? I mean, it's the dumbing down of society, is it not? Like, they say it's stimulus for the child's brain. Fucking hell, I dare say it's not. I dare say it's the opposite. Stimulus for a child's brain isn't showing it and telling it what reality is. Stimulus for a child's brain is encouraging that child to create its own. That's true fucking stimulus for a child's brain. Teaching it that there are unboundless possibilities to what it is they can create. You give that child a piece of blank paper and a pencil, and you sit down with it and you get that child to draw something, you are teaching the brain to create what isn't already there. If you just fucking sit it down in front of a tablet with some crazy psychedelic, probably MK Ultra inspired fucking mind control TV show, you sit it down and just fucking say, here, stare at this fucking screen. What are you doing, man? You're just feeding the brain stuff that you know nothing about. And the child's brain is just getting programmed. I mean, do you really know what's going on? Do you really know the psychology of what's going on with all of these shapes and fucking colours and all of this crazy, like, the songs and shit that they're fucking singing on these things? Because fucking hell, if you look into it, if you look into subjects such as MK Ultra, well then you will know that these things have been studied and mastered. These techniques and tactics have been mastered for many, many years. And do you think they wouldn't do it to your children? I would say the time that would be most important to get somebody, to ensnare them within the net of control, would be when they're children. If you're a fucking psychopath and that's what you want to do to the world, which is clearly what they're fucking doing. So think twice, man. You know, spark the flame of creativity in your child instead of just fucking putting them in a box, by putting them in front of a box and showing them that that's all the world is. And then maybe the next generation of children won't be spoilt consumerist fucking arseholes, all right, that want to teach their children to be even worse. It takes work, it takes hard work, it takes effort. But isn't it fucking strange that with each generation that goes by, it does get worse and worse? Because people themselves, the adults themselves, are addicted to the same things. They're addicted to consumerism, they're addicted to the fucking iPads, they're addicted to what they can see and fucking scroll through on the internet. They're addicted to these things themselves. So with addictions come neglect. You know, a byproduct of addiction is neglect. You neglect other aspects of your life. And if you've got a fucking child, well then you're going to neglect the development of that child, aren't you? That's just fucking the nature of addiction. So if you're addicted to and what does addiction want? It wants codependency. It wants an enabler. If you've got another person in a relationship that isn't addicted to the same substance, whether it's fucking drugs, alcohol, or fucking technology, then that relationship isn't going to last very long. But if you've got somebody who is also, you know, addictive by their nature, and they're addicted to, especially if they're addicted to the same substance, well then that relationship then becomes a crutch for one another. And they hold each other up like two fucking playing cards. You know, and that's how this works. And if you've got then a child that's added into the mix, well then they also have to become an addict in order to allow the addiction on the other end of the scale, i.e. the parents, to continue. And then what you've got here is the fucking blind leading the blind. You've got the addicted creating the addicted, creating the need again. And it's about taking responsibility and taking account for ourselves, taking account for the fact that we need to put in some hard work here. And the future of the human race, quite realistically, is down to us, the individuals. Because unless we teach our fucking children the way to be, well then they won't teach their fucking children the way to be either. Now, I heard a proverb a while back now. I can't remember where I heard it, but it was, and I quote, instead of buying your children everything that you never had, you should teach your children the things that you never knew. And that, my friends, that is the most important thing you can ever do for your children. And that is to teach them what it is you wish you knew at their age, but didn't. The shit that's took you all of this time to learn. And you think back and you think, God, if I'd have known this back then, well then surely that's what you should be doing with your children. All right? Not thinking, well, okay then, what did I want as a child? Well, I wanted a fucking, you know, one of those laser things. Or I wanted a, you know, where you strap a thing to your chest, you get like a little laser gun and you fucking chase your brother or your sister around the house. Or I wanted a fucking remote control car, or I wanted a fucking stereo, or whatever you fucking wanted, you know. I wanted a fucking horse. Whatever, the latest computer games console. So I'm going to buy that for my child. I'm going to live through my child with my materialism. because you think that's love. And yeah, I suppose in some regards, since we're living in a consumerist society, it is, because that's how love is translated. Because ultimately, if you think about reality and our brains and the way that what we are, we translate the reality into physical form. I mean, I'm starting to get kind of, matrix orientated here and manifestation kind of stuff. But ultimately, we ourselves, through our, I suppose, perceptions, the way that we perceive our own reality, ultimately we are translating that data. All of us, ourselves, therefore we translate the reality into what it is. And to finish on a fucking deep vibe, I mean, I don't know if I should mention this, but the way things are going with these predicted potential shortages on certain things like toys and stuff, the way things are going, there's going to be more and more panic buying, and people are going to be going out and buying all these latest toys and stockpiling them in the house, probably selling them for higher amounts on things on market websites. Which means it creates a need, a demand for these products. Now that means the products' prices will go up if there is a shortage, because anything in short supply with high demand hikes the price up. What have we just been through? We've been through a time where a lot of businesses they didn't make much money and they're trying to recoup. All right. Now, a lot of these businesses, without getting too deep, are probably owned or friends with people that own certain other businesses that know other people. These people are all fucking in the same little clubs. Now, perhaps there's something going on, man, and there's a little tip of the cap and a nod and saying, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to create scarcity so you guys can make your money back. Or maybe people are just capitalising on it, just like, in my opinion, the government have capitalised upon this situation and turned it into a crisis. And I'm talking about the whole last 2 years. So, at this point, whatever the motives, whatever the reasons, whatever the hows and the whys, people are capitalising upon this, and the price will go through the roof, which means people are going to make an astronomical amount of money from a shortage. Now, let's just say we take it one step further here. We go a level deeper here. People want their fucking bits and bobs for their children, don't they? Because let's face it, we're not going to change it by this Christmas. So this year, people are going to want those things for their Christmas, for their children at Christmas. Now, when you're told, that this government plan B is going to come into effect, and because of the huge increase in cases of the Roro, they're going to require, the prick passport for you to go to this business, go to that business. Oh, and guess what? Because Christmas shopping and the time surrounding the Christmas shopping is so busy, and there's so many people standing shoulder to shoulder in these shops looking for the latest things, well, you're going to have the double prick passport to go and do your Christmas shopping. And then you've got to look at it biblically, haven't you? And say, well, I don't know, man. Doesn't it say in the book of Revelations that those who do not accept the mark of the beast will not be able to trade, buy, or sell? Now, I'm not saying that this prick is the mark of the beast. I'm not saying that. Could be. we are living in very strange times that do seem biblical in a sense, given the polarity of society right now, that seems to be, and the illusion that what has been good through all of these years is now actually being proven to be evil. You know, the illusion that our servitude was our safety, and now actually we're realizing it was our enslavement. All of these things do seem, the veil seems to be lifted on an awful lot of things. And it does seem to be getting extremely fucking biblical out there. I don't know if you've noticed, I mean, we're not seeing fucking fire raining from the sky yet and dragons rising from the oceans, but I don't know, man. There's a lot of things, there's a lot of signs and symbols out there that seem to allude to something, at least, that something serious is happening. And I mean, you can't deny certain things, like this mark of the beast stuff. You can't deny that, because it's something that is there in a book, okay, that was written thousands of years ago, that prophesizes the end times. And what's happening now does seem to be running parallel to that. You are being told, if you want to trade, at least, if you want to go to work, that you have to take this double prick. I mean, who knows what the mark of the beast is, but it's something, isn't it, that people have to take. It says on the forehead or the hand, but who knows, man. Maybe the double prick is just the precursor to the actual mark of the beast. I don't know. Maybe it's about loosening people up to the possibility of accepting something else later on down the line. Maybe it's the prick passport that is the precursor. Like I've said before, if everything you need in life is dependent on you showing an app on your phone in order to either gain entry or access to something, sooner or later they're going to say, well, let's just do away with the app and the mobile phone. Let's just install it in people's bodies, because that's easier, because now it's just a part of society. Again, it's creating the need for something, isn't it? It's creating the crisis, therefore then creating a need for something, which then people accept and then go along with, because now they need it. So maybe this is all just a precursor to the mark of the beast. Who knows? But when you look at things like Christmas and the consumerism of it, and you realize that this is a systemic issue that comes from us, the people, and we hold it in our hands, that we hold the power in our hands to change this. Now, Christmas is supposed to be about a biblical thing. Now, I don't know, man. I've got my own views and opinions on the Bible and on the stories in the Bible. I think you can take them literally and speculatively both at the same time. But without getting into that, I could probably do another video based on that, but without getting into that, I think it's only right to, I suppose, look at that one point surrounding Christmas and just say, for argument's sake, that it is to do with the birth of Christ. And, it's at the very least religious. It's a religious time. Christ also turned over some tables and shit because people were trading and going on, like they wanted to be rich in money instead of rich in spiritualism or something like this. I think that's the way it went. He went into the marketplace and started turning over the tables because he was disgusted by it. So if this is what Jesus did, and if Christmas is celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, why in God's name, and I don't mean that in vain, man, I'm saying in truth, why in God's name are you consuming materialistically on the celebration of a day, of the day when this person was born, that then eventually came to despise consumerism? It makes no sense. It's an absolute contradiction of what it actually is supposed to represent. So perhaps to truly enjoy Christmas and to truly change things, we need to look at situations like these and actually check ourselves and say, well, hold on. This isn't what it's about, man. This is what we've been told it's about by the same people that tell us about everything else, by the same people that profit through telling, by us believing what it is they tell us about everything else. And these people aren't good people, man. So when you then realize then that these people are telling you that this is all about consumerism now, and we're going along with it, and you can see the destruction that this is having on our on our fucking human race, generationally, you've got to start looking at it and questioning it and saying, well, this is just another part of the puzzle that you've got to start taking account for as a human being and as an adult. Be responsible, man, and do something about it, man. Let's all just teach the children a better way, because you know what? They're going to inherit this planet, and if we don't fucking teach them the right way to go, well, it's going to be left and it's going to rot, isn't it? Civilization, the planet, everything will rot. And on that happy vibe, I'm going to wish love and peace to all things everywhere. This is Crack Gus signing off. Peace.